Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel, The Teacher's Best Friend. And for today's episode, I have two guests that I invited, and I'm so glad that they're here with us to share their stories as educators in the United States. They're actually my friends as well. We worked together in Arizona way back in one district. But now, one of our guests, she's already working in the East in Maryland. So I would like to welcome and introduce to you Miss Teresita Yu and Dr. Alan Del Rosario. So welcome to the Teacher's Best Friend channel. Before we proceed with our questions, I would like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourselves to our audience, to our teacher viewers, so that they also know a little about you as teachers in the United States. So let us start with Dr. Alan Del Rosario. Good
Thank you,
evening.
Dr. Moreno. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Del Rosario, and I'm teaching here in Distribico High School. I have been here in the United States for 15 years now, but this is my 30th year of teaching. 15 years in the Philippines and 15 years here in the United States. I am a special education teacher, but I started as a history teacher. I was hired by White River Unified School District in 2005 as a history teacher. And then I took courses in special education. So I made a transition to special ed. So currently, I'm a high school special education teacher. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Del Rosario. Let's hear from Mr. Resita Yu.
Hello, good evening, Dr. Arena and Dr. De Rosario. This is Mrs. Teresita Yu. So thank you for having me tonight. So I'm from the Philippines also, and this year is my 42nd year in the
Wow.
in this field. 24 years in the Philippines. I worked with a Catholic school, my only employer there. Okay, so I only had one employer there, but came here as a tourist and then became a teacher. Uh, and also I worked with two Catholic schools here. And then this is my third uh, government school. Okay, two in one in New Mexico, one in Arizona, and presently I'm here in Maryland. So this is also my 20th year here in the US as an educator. So I'm glad I'm here because I could be of help, to our kids.
Thank you so much for those introduction. And our topic for this episode is more on our life in the United States, the success and challenges, and probably later we can give some tips to our teacher viewers, what how to live a healthy and successful lifestyle in the United States. And the reason why I invited these two educators tonight, Dr. Del Rosario and Mr. Resita Yu, it's because I know their background. Even in the Philippines, they were also successful educators. I know Miss Yu worked as principal in one of the schools in the Bicol region, and Dr. Del Rosario was the head of the department at, is it Central Escolar University, Dr. Del
Yes,
Rosario?
Central Scholar
Yes.
University.
So, and they carried those success in the United States. I will consider that they are successful in their career here in the United States as well. So we will hear a lot more from them. And for the first question, I just wanted you to share to our viewers how your journey to the United States started. Although Miss you already mentioned a little bit, but if you can share how your journey in coming to the United States started. So let's hear from
Yes.
Dr. Del Rosario.
Well, you know, the U.S. demand for teachers became a blessing for us. Yeah, and who would think that the United States would need teachers? So it's really a blessing for us. And then the superintendent of White River Unified School District went to the Philippines in 2005 to recruit teachers. And I was fortunate to be one of those teachers who was interviewed and accepted. And I came here through H-1B or a working visa. And I mentioned earlier, I was hired as a history teacher in White River. And I stayed there for 12 years before I moved to another school district where Dr. Areno is now the superintendent that's in this Chibico Community School. So I think it's a blessing for everyone. As I mentioned, who would really think that the great United States would need teachers? So for me, it's a dream come true because every individual, or I would say every Filipino, is dreaming for the American dream. And for me, that's my American dream to go to the United States and practice my profession, go to the US legally, work legally. And as of now, I'm very happy. My family and I are all contented with what we have right now. And we're really happy to be teachers. I'm proud to be a teacher. And that's my brief story, journey in coming to the United States. So I thank the Lord for this blessing.
Thank you, Dr. Del Rosario. And I know we are all proud teachers. And of course, the reason why we are also doing this, sharing to other educators, it's because we would like to give back to other teachers out there and at the same time inspire them, of like our journey.
Mhm.
Like if you dream, I mean, there's nothing impossible. How about Miss You?
Yes, so briefly, I said, in my introduction that I came here as a tourist before in 2000. That was in 2000, just for me to visit my brother. Well, my brother was ill that time, and I wanted to visit him. But then, since he's a priest, and then I think he told the superintendent of Catholic schools then that I have some managerial experience back in the Philippines. So they asked me if I could manage a Catholic school. I said, no, I did not come in. I do not even want to be a teacher or what more of a principal. But then I think that's God's plan for me. So I manage one school and then another Catholic school back then in New Mexico. And then but then I was a tourist then. So it was hard for me. So when I had to go back home, I had some problems with my immigration. These are the journey of, I think you have to know this. If you're trying to apply work here in the US, there's a lot. It's not a walk in the park. It's really a lot. There will be a lot of challenges that you will meet. So we had a lot of immigration issues here, and then I have to go back to the Philippines, and then I have to write a senator and a U.S. senator to help me because I remember it's Senator John McCain. I have to get his help. He said, "Who are you? You're not even a citizen." But he told me, you know what? If your district would really like to hire you back, I could help you. And then, lo and behold, my superintendent was really someone who was very willing to help me. And actually, he was the one who hired the Filipino teachers like Dr. Arena and Dr. De Lusario. So he was said, yes, I'm willing to get Mrs. Yu. So he was able to come back. But immigration issues is really a hurdle. It was not easy. So you know what we have, I think a lot of the teachers here experienced a lot of problems just trying to stay legally, because a lot of them even were out of status already. So but then God is good. God is really good. So despite all those trials, we were able to fix our papers, and then we were hired, as I Miss Dr. De Rosario said, legally. And then, and it's just the one thing that is very very important for us, so to work legally. But then you know what, the journey, like when I was hired, the first time I was hired, the superintendent told me, okay, just don't talk to the students because they might not understand your English. So, what? Yeah, you have an accent. And, oh dear. So I was talking to the students, and we understand you. We understand your English. Okay, go. And then the teacher is also telling me, do you understand me? You understand my accent? Yeah, you know, you're the different. You can, as long as you can speak English. So these are the lot of things that happened. And then, you know what? Oh, well, I accept that also. I have my accent, you know. Yeah, I'm not a native English speaker, so I am an English learner too. So it's hard for me to really find my place. But eventually, you know, we were able to find our place in the American educational system.
And I understand you were an English teacher too. It's like uh,
Yeah.
in my discussions with the other teachers, teacher guests before, we were discussing about that, like the challenges that we experience in the classroom. And one of them, of course, is the communication and our accent. But we cannot sometimes remove that because it's part of our culture, the part of where we grew up. I mean, we are not American, like we speak the American way, but because of respect and acceptance from our students, in the same way we respect them, we accepted them, we help them, we care for them, and that is just a secondary now, the communication or the accent. What is important for them is we are here, we are making a difference in their lives, we're teaching them, and they love us. So I yeah, so those are something, some challenges, but that doesn't mean like it will stop us from becoming a good teacher. So
I
those are
agree.
good
That's
sharing.
true. Hmm.
Thank you for those wonderful sharing. And probably in the next episode or future episode, I can share to our teachers, viewers, especially those that live in other countries that plan to teach in the United States, that there are so many ways to come here. Being a tourist, I think it's we cannot call it illegal because you entered the United States legally, and it's up to the employers if they will hire you, and that is also legally accepted.
Yeah.
And in the case of Dr. Del Rosario, he came here as H1 or working, and myself is different. Like I am a J1 when I came to the United States. That is a cultural exchange teacher, but all of us with different ways of coming here, but all of us now are in the same boat. We are all
Mhm.
residents and citizens.
Citizens.
So those are just challenges, but we took different routes, but we ended up in the same destination. So that is something to tell them, to inspire them that uh,
Yes,
don't give up on your dreams.
that's right.
Yeah. So for the next question, I would like um, Dr. Del Rosario and Miss Yu to share your success stories, or even if you have some challenges aside from the papers, like living in the US, what are the success stories that you can share to our teacher viewers, or if there are some challenges that we learned from those as well? So let's start with Miss Shu.
Okay. Again, as I mentioned a while ago, the language barrier. Even if we could speak English in the Philippines, there are a lot of terminologies in the Philippines that are not common here. So, for example, I used to say when I was here in 2000, I used to say, "Can I go to the bath to the restroom?" Did we say it? Oh, what is that? Was it restroom? How do you call that? Comfort room.
Comfort
So
room.
I used to say
Comfort room.
comfort room. He said, "What is comfort room?" He said, "Oh my goodness. Oh, so we don't use it here in America? No, we don't have that terminology in here. We use it restroom or powder room or toilet, whatever." Or I used to say, okay, the purse. I thought the purse before is the coin purse, but then it's the bag. We call it a bag. So there's a lot of differences in the way we call the terminologies here, and of course the food. A long time ago, I could not afford myself to eat, for example, fried bread. So what is that? But you know what? We developed the taste, after a while. So there's a lot of the food that we did never ate in the Philippines, and then all of a sudden you eat this food here, like fried bread, tamales, or whatever is that, and the culture is one of the challenges before, and I think a lot of teachers could relate with me. Like I once was told by a student, "Go back to your country." That's one of the things. So the acceptance, this is one thing that they're trying to maybe test me, if I could endure. But then, as the days went by, I was able to endure that. And they finally realized that I'm there for them, to help them learn, to love them, to accept them. And I think it's a process, though. It's not really right there and then you will get their acceptance or their respect. So I earn their respect, and they earn my respect. I think it's a mutual respect for each other, the mutual respect for the individuality. You think so? I think if you're also a good teacher, I think they will also accept you and love you. You learn to love you. And so there's a lot of challenges, but the successes, well, I think I could mention like I am by the way, I am an ESOL teacher, and something like a TESOL. We call it TESOL right here, or teaching English for speakers of other languages, or TESOL, or some people would call it ELL, English language learners. I used to teach Filipino or in the Philippines, and I am now an English teacher, so it's a challenge too. That's why I have my favorite now is the Google Translate, because I have to teach Spanish students, and I don't understand fully, although I can speak poquito, something like a very little Spanish. I have Vietnamese kids, I have French kids. I said, oh my goodness. So these are challenges too. But really, success is a lot of my English language learners, for example, right now, a lot of them exit the ESOL. That means they become English proficient. So I consider it as a success story for myself. And back then, when I was working with the Native Americans, just helping the students how to believe in themselves is already a success story for me. From being a struggling reader to a reader, wow, those are things to celebrate. Little things I used to tell my students there, just a very small achievement is something for us to celebrate. There's a lot. And I think also because you know what, you come here Maybe when you were in the Philippines, you have titles. So here, we don't have that. So I think that's one of the challenges too, because oh my gosh, I used to be a principal over in the Philippines, and here I'm dealing with this, the first time I was called, I was just called by my name, Rosita. I said, really? Hey, this is the first time I was called by my first name in the Philippines. They call me Mrs. The title. But then I came to learn that, oh, this is the way they refer to their teachers. But however, one success that I recall when I was in the White River, for example, I made a request. I told the secretary there, could you please refer me Mrs. U? And then I think that created that culture, because all of a sudden everybody called me Mrs. U, and the other teachers are already referred by their title, Mrs. or Mr. or Doctor. So this is something that is also a successful thing that happened. So everybody were already called Mrs. or Mr. or Doctor in that school, and the students are also calling us. Uh, you know, Mrs., Mr., or Doctor, something like that. So there's a lot. And also involving in the community. That's one thing that I thought I was quite successful. Not you are not here only as a teacher. I think we try to involve ourselves in the community activities there. So in the church, or trying to volunteer, so these are things that I think we have to try to be involved with to be successful here, not only as a teacher, but as a person.
Yeah, I agree.
Same here. I agree with that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Yu, for those
Yeah.
wonderful sharing of your success and challenges in the United States. And those are really wonderful. And yeah, like at first, what is tamales? We have our own tamales version in the Philippines, but it's different here. And fry bread at first, it's new to us, but that's my favorite now.
Me
Exactly.
too. I love it.
Yeah.
It's a
Same
lot,
here.
and fry bread and beans. That's my favorite. And sometimes I even request to our colleagues to, next time you cook it, I would like to, have some, because, and at the same time, they also learn to eat our food because when there are gatherings, we cook our pancit, we cook our lumpia, we cook
Mhm.
our adobo, and we share it to them, and they learn to love it too. So it's like learning and understanding each culture. So those are really fantastic experiences. You know, let's hear from Dr. Del Rosario.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Renan. Thank you, Mrs. Yu, for sharing your story or stories. Uh, you know, teaching in the United States, or in general, coming to the United States and living in the United States is not a bed of roses. There are pluses and minuses, or positive and negative. So, with my experiences, let me start with the positive ones. So, the successes. For example, in the classroom, one thing that I consider a success is when we are able to affect change in the behavior of our students. And when we see that they are learning and learning is taking place in the classroom, for me, it's a big change. When we see that even their attitude is changing, that's a success. As mentioned by Mrs. Yu earlier, if there's something to celebrate, let's celebrate it. So those are the things that we see in the classroom. Right now, I'm doing special education. And when I see the student earn his or her diploma, is a great achievement, not only for myself as a case manager, but for the student and for the family and for the community too.
Yes.
So yeah, we have to celebrate those achievements because the success of one is the success of all, especially where we are teaching at right now. It's a small community, closely knitted, and the success of one student is celebrated by the whole community. One thing that I realized and I experienced that is the key to success in school and in our job here in the US is establishing relationships. That's number one, because let's accept it, probably all of us we experienced when we were new here in the US the feeling of rejection. I felt that because we came here uh, during the early years of the demand for teachers, let's say 2000, 2000 to 2005 or 2006. Those were the early hiring years. And some parents were resisting, even students were resisting. Oh, where did you come from? You come from Asia and you are teaching us? Something like that. Those statements. So I felt sometimes the feeling of rejection from them. Then I was telling myself, what should I do to be accepted by the people? And I think the key word is immersion, which Mrs. You also mentioned. We have to immerse ourselves in the culture and the traditions and practices of the people. Now, in my case, I live on the reservation for 12 years. We stayed in the teachers' housing, and I involved myself in church activities. So I went to the LDS church in Fort Apache, and they loved me so much. The community loved me so much. Why? Because when I came, there was the music was so simple. They sang, but no one was accompanying them. So when they discovered that I could play the piano, they said, "Oh, they called me the Rosario, the Rosario." That's how they called me, the Rosario. Play some music. So I tried, and then eventually I was assigned by the bishop to be the regular pianist every Sunday. And that relationship or that immersion in the culture was very important. You know why? Because aside from being the pianist in the church, I also became the Sunday school teacher. And then I realized that the students in the Sunday school, because I taught in the adult Sunday school, are the parents, grandparents of the students. So I was teaching at the high school at the time. And then eventually, when I went back to school, and some students were already studying, hey, or the Rosario, or Dr. Sometimes they call me Dr. D. Dr. D, my grandma told me you're the one teaching in the church. So that's the beginning of a harmonious relationship with the students, with the administrators, and with the community itself. So for me, the number one thing, if some people are watching us right now, and if they intend to come over here, first thing is to build relationships. That's number one. Build relationships with people. Because without it, I don't think we will be successful. Because once we have a good relationship with the students and with the community and the other stakeholders, everything will be done smoothly. Relationships, lessons, even discipline. I'm sure all of us will experience some discipline problems at the beginning, but eventually, because of that established relationship, it went by so smoothly. I remember there was an instance when one student was trying to talk back, and then I said, I know your grandma, or I know your grandpa. Oh, really? Then after that, the students showed respect because they love their elders. Once you mention their elders, that's it. That's the key to very good relationship with them. So if we will see, if we identify the issues or the problems, there will always be solutions to it. But as I mentioned, immersing immersion to their culture is very important. It's important to make ourselves visible. If there are traditional or cultural activities, try to be there, try to be present, and mingle with people. Because when you establish that kind of relationship, you are accepted by the community. Another thing, when I brought my children over here when they were small, I enrolled them in the local elementary school on the reservation, and then they had friends. Eh, just to inform everyone, I remember my kids were called by their classmates Filipino Apaches, combination of Filipino and Apaches, because they themselves immersed themselves in the community, in the culture of the people. So I think those are the successes and some uh, concerns or challenges. And one success that I consider is, that I'm lucky, or we are lucky to practice our profession. What's our profession in the Philippines is also our profession here in the United States. Because if you will look at the other Filipinos all over the United States, some of them are not practicing their own degrees or professions. They shifted to another field. But for us, for me, that's a blessing that we enjoy what we are doing. We love what we are doing, and that is teaching.
Mhm.
So I couldn't see myself doing other things aside from uh, teaching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are wonderful stories. And I agree to both of you. I also experienced that. We work in the same district once. And for me, the number one thing that like to immerse yourself, to be like be a member of the community. Don't treat yourself. We are all visitors, of course, in the
Yes.
place in the United States, but since we decided to stay here, to work here, and to be part of the community, we have to ourselves accept that as well. We have to be immersed. I mean, we have to join the community activities. We have to be a part of the community itself. I think they will feel that sincerity, like you're not only servicing the school or the students, but you are also trying to serve the community, like through the church choir. Like I also taught catechism for 6 years, and they can see that we are servicing the community in its entirety, not just the school, but even in other areas. And I think those are good experiences. That's why we were able to adjust easily and
Yes.
feel accepted and happy in where we live. So thank you for sharing
Or
that.
Dr. Reno, may I share something? Another one.
Okay.
One thing that I forgot to mention is the moral support among the Filipinos.
Yes, yes.
Remember, it's different when we are together
Mhm.
as like one big happy family. As Filipinos, we supported each other. We
Mhm.
attended also our own community activities. For me, that's a big thing also. It's a contributory factor to our success in the United States that other Filipinos are just right there supporting us too, supporting each other.
Actually, in my last question, that is part of it. It's like, what are the tips you can give to our teacher viewers and other viewers out there to have a healthy and successful life in the United States? And since you mentioned about it, Dr. Rosario, I want you to continue
Okay.
your sharing
Thank you.
other
Thank
tips.
you, Dr. Rena. That's true.
Yeah.
One tip is, you know, give your support to other people. Because for me, that's one way of thanking the Lord for the many blessings that I receive. is to share also what I have with with other people. In our case, I know there was a time when we were all neighbors
Yes.
in the community, in the teachers' housing. It's different when you know that somebody you can rely on is near you. You can call on them, you can ask for help. So the moral support and the general support system is very important, and it's a contributory factor to our success here in the United States. Now, the one tip that I can really give is to for everyone to live a well-balanced life. Well-balanced life. When I say way-balanced life, you know, work is always there. We really need to work for our sustenance, for our survival. But aside from work, we should not forget ourselves too and our family. We have to find time, spend quality time with our family, with our friends, and don't forget spirituality too. That's very important. Uh, Involve yourselves or ourselves to community activities, church activities. Um, what else? And if our finances permit, travel. That's very important because unwinding is very important. Good to unwind and rejuvenate um, when we have free time, um, and we have also to be healthy. Exercise is part of being successful. So for me, that's the meaning of live a well-balanced life: work, family, faith, and don't forget yourself. Me time is also important. That's one thing we have in our family. We do things together, and then when it's time for me time, we accept it. That's all right. Do it. We deserve it. We owe it to uh, ourselves. So I think that's it. Thank you, Dr. Reno and Mrs. Yu,
Thank you so
because I
much.
consider both of you as my good friends.
Thank you.
Dr. Reno is my boss now, but we were friends too, or we are friends too at the same time. We as Filipinos, that's one thing unique among us, right? We are closely knitted, we support each other, and that's very significant for me.
Those are wonderful tips, Dr. Del Rosario. Thank you for that. Let's hear from Miss Hugh from Akitat.
Oh, okay, thank you again. Yes, as teachers here, I also believe that we should work smarter, not harder. For us to be productive, we always have to think of what matters most to us. And Dr. Lirosari mentioned this already. Love yourself first. Take care of your health. So this is very important. You cannot work if you are not healthy. So yourself first. Try to be healthy, and I think, of course, try to improve yourself personally and professionally. We do not stop learning. As teachers here, we learn. We have to learn. Every day is a learning process, especially now that we are in the virtual learning. And you know what? I am not tech savvy, by the way. So this is something that I really struggle, but I am open to learning. So we be open to learning. Wherever you are, whatever need, or if they need you to learn something new, then go for it. Don't resist, because this is very important. We continue to learn. This is something that we have to strive for every day. There's a lot of teaching strategies out there, but I also believe that we are the best strategy for our students. Okay, no matter how we equip ourselves with those strategies, if we can't deliver them, so we are still the best person, the best strategy that we have to bring when we enter our classroom. And also, of course, because we're away from a lot of us are away from our family, so we arm ourselves with prayer. This is one thing that we have to bring with us every day. arm yourself with patience. We have different kinds of personalities out there. Each one is different. Each student is different. So make sure you're patient. Make sure you try to believe in them, respect them, and love them. The students, by the way, the students, they love to hear you tell them that you love them, because a lot of them, they don't experience it. Okay, so this is something that they long for: the acceptance, the respect, the love, the care that they ask from us, that they expect from us. And so this is something that also I mentioned a while ago, in passing. We don't have titles here that, what, something like, I was a principal in the Philippines. You should treat me as a principal here, but you are not the principal here anymore. You're the teacher, something like that. So I remember my former superintendent in back in Arizona. He was a superintendent and became a teacher. They don't care at all, of their titles, of their positions. But here, sometimes Filipinos, they're ashamed. You know, I was a principal in the Philippines. Why am I treated here just like a teacher? So something like that. And again, these are things that we have to remember also. We work here like because we don't have house helps anymore. We could not take with us our helpers from the Philippines. So you clean, you wash, you do everything that men can do. We also do this. For example, female teachers, we drive, our own cars. So things that were not done back in our country, we have to do it here. And briefly, I mentioned this already about the community involvement. Just like Dr. Arena and Dr. De Rosario, we are very active in church activities. I also taught First Communion in my church over there in White River. And then when they need some people to pick up trash, I try to volunteer. These are things that we really try to do because we want them to feel that we accept them and that we are with them. So there's a lot of things that we have to uh, remember when we are here. Okay, As- when what is a saying? When we are Rome, when you are in Rome, do what the Romans do, something like that. And I think in my 9 years in the my first 9 years or 10 years in Arizona, in the US, I also worked with Native Americans. And by the way, they are one of the most lovable people in the world. You really will learn to love them because, oh my goodness, I don't know what they have, but they're so lovable people. They're so special people for me, and I learned a lot of them from them. Uh, it's so, for me, I feel it very honored when, for example, I was invited to be part of their sunrise dances, for example, which, they don't usually open to. We are, I think we are referred to as outsiders because they have their exclusive activities there that are solely for them, but they allow you to watch something like that. That means they accept. Then, there's a feeling of acceptance from the community there. The fact that they are inviting you to their kinds of activities, you're accepted. You're loved, and I feel that. Some parents, for example, sending you some of their pinion pinion seeds or nuts, their wild tea, and said, so those things, we try, you eat them, you drink the tea that they serve you, even if said, well, I don't know what wild tea is, but you drink it in front of them. That's really trying to let them know that you are part of the community already. So a lot of things that you really have to learn when you are here. It's very important that you mingle with the community. And Dr. De Rosario mentioned this: be part of also the Filipino community. We don't stay away from them because we need them. We really need them. Uh, a lot of times I experience this. Someone for me to drive for me. I get sick. Someone has to or drive from here, those things. And if you stay away from them, it might be hard for you. So really the community, the Filipino community should really be that strong and be part of that. You know, be part of that, the strength of that community.
Thank you. I think we are having a wonderful conversation here. And
Yes,
I'm
we are.
glad for all your sharing to our teacher viewers and other people that are watching right now. And I hope we are inspiration to them and they're learning from our experience as well. And I just wanted to summarize like what we have said regarding the advice or tips on how to live a healthy and successful life in the United States. Yes, it's true. It needs to be balanced. And, what number one is I like supporting each other. We have to set aside crab mentality. We need to celebrate the success of our colleagues, of our co-Filipinos.
Mhm.
I think that is something that we need to remember, that we need to celebrate the success of each and everyone. We need to live a balanced life, healthy lifestyle. Of course, don't forget prayers and asking for guidance with the Lord, and living the community like we are part of it and members of the community. And of course, be sincere and honest to our career as teachers. Sincerity in teaching and in loving unconditionally our students as our own. So
Yes.
yeah, I think those are success stories that we have, and I'm so happy. And I'm looking forward to more conversations with you, Dr. Del Rosario and Mrs. Yu. And
All the
Thank you
time.
for inviting us, Dr. Areno.
And for our viewers out there, if you have questions, please don't forget to comment. And if there is a topic that you want us to discuss, like maybe on immigration, how those process are, because being like administrator in the school as well, we learn all those. And if you want to have those some advice or tips, just comment and request for those topics, and we are gladly to share those with you in the future. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next episode, the Teacher's Best Friend channel. And
Thank you.
God be the
Thank
glory.
you. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.